Welcome, welcome everybody to our Stay Connected today. Our presenter is going to be Dakota Staggs, and he is with Beyond School Bells. Dakota is going to go over some outdoor and environmental planning. So, Dakota, go ahead and take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Katie. As Katie said, my name is Dakota Staggs. I am part of the BSB team. It's semi-official, semi-unofficial, but I like to think of myself as the environmental guy for our team. So I lead our environmental education work that encompasses a whole lot of things. And today's presentation is just kind of an introduction to one of, if not the best time of year to do some of those environmental activities, which is summer. So we're in it. Summer's basically here. For those of you not yet on break, you're almost there. You'll make it. I'm going to share my screen of a quick presentation. Can I get a thumbs up when someone can see it? Perfect. Thanks, Katie. Okay. I think is it all set up now? Oh, just one more thumbs up.
That's good. Yes.
Cool. Thank you. So let's plan an outdoor summer. I personally am very passionate about outdoor and environmental education. I don't expect everyone else to be, but I have some reasons and some resources in this presentation that I think will help excite those of you who maybe are interested or new to it. The idea here is we'll just go through, so this is my kind of overview for the presentation. We'll go through why is outdoor and environmental education important? Why would you do it? There's a couple slides on easy things to do for outdoor and environmental education. So VSB has resources for each of the following, but we also have lots of connections. Nebraska has an incredible network for these things. So we'll talk about gardening, outdoor sciences, outdoor games. So things like sports, that counts as outdoor and environmental education as well. We'll talk about places to go and then partners to see. So why outdoor and environmental education? As I said, I'm clearly passionate about it, but it's also just proven to be good for you and good for students. There are academic benefits. There are studies and resources that show direct, tangible, productive outcomes between students' time outside, their mental well-being, their academic performance, their social connectedness, and particularly even stewardship outcomes. So if we're outside more, we're more connected to our communities, to nature, to the spaces around us, we have a better kind of affinity to care for those things. And I also advocate for outdoor and environmental education as just one of the most accessible methods for after school and out of school time learning. Because if you have a couple of the right tools and a little bit of an introduction like this conversation, you can do outdoor and environmental ed just about anywhere. So you don't have to have a native prairie or a farm to go to. You can incorporate those things in your playground, or you can pursue them in kind of those unique spaces like zoos and field trips. So in this slide, there's a couple logos here. The first is NEEF, which is the National Environmental Education Foundation. They have some great resources for curriculum and activities, as well as a lot of research that shows some of those documented benefits for students and for programs. Project Learning Tree, they also have a lot of great resources, again, for programming, as well as academic and empirical studies showing these benefits. And then I also posted one more, so that Journal of Environmental Education, there's a study linked there that has, it's a meta study showing, I think they have around 200 studies that they look through and identify themes and consistent outcomes. If you are into academic literature, that's a really good journal for this type of work. So summer gardens, I think, is one of the first things that a lot of people out of programs think of and engage in for outdoor environmental education. Those gardens can be big or they can be small. I really like gardening as an introduction to EE because it can fit anywhere. It can engage students in really important things, and it connects to a lot of just communities in Nebraska. We're an agricultural state. We relate to the food that we grow and that we see growing all around us. Sometimes I think that there's an opportunity to improve that connection. And I think that students can recognize that. They know that they drive by a cornfield, whether it's on the 80 or whether it's back at home, they see a piece of that food system. And so gardens are a way to give them a tangible benefit to connect to those things. So that can be through a simple sunflower in a Dixie cup, as my boss Jeff likes to say, or we can scale it up to an in bed or in ground garden, either at the school or maybe giving them tools and resources to do those things at home. Or Beyond School Bells has a lot of projects around hydroponics. You see a tower there. I see a couple of our partners who are doing some of that work now. All of it is a really good introduction to hands-on learning. It teaches life skills, whether that's growing your own food, understanding some of the nutrition that's associated with it, as well as just like responsibility in caring for a plant. If you don't water it, it might wilt, it might not make it. There's a lot of things and a lot of different ways to teach different lessons within environmental education using gardens. And then kind of reiterating, Nebraska's an agricultural state. There's a lot of statewide partners for gardens, whether that's through 4-H or through local agriculture or even master gardeners or across the state. There's lots of ways to connect to resources there. This slide is for outdoor sciences. This is one of the first ways that I engaged in environmental education, and that is honestly one of my go-tos for whenever I implement an environmental education project. BioBlitz, as you see here, is one of the first things I do. BioBlitz is a way to just study the biology around us. It can be very academic and really counting literally every plant that you can find within a transect, or it can be very artistic and having students draw what they see. One of my favorite things to do for that K2 exploration is to go out into a field, a prairie if possible, or a pollinator garden if there's one available. Have students look at what can they see, what can they find, and then have them write a story or draw a story based on that. It's a really easy way to give them a little bit of introduction to some of the environment around them, to some of those outdoor sciences, but then engage them in creativity. And it's not on the last slide, but creativity is also one of the documented benefits of outdoor education. And then 6-8, so some of the older students, there's really good career introductions. I'll talk about one of our partners who's doing some of that work. This is just a way to show sometimes we get stuck in Nebraska being just full of cornfields and bean fields. It's not necessarily true. There's a lot of habitat. Nebraska's got a lot of very unique biomes and really cool resources that the more we can be introduced to it, I think the better. I also linked, you'll see that like cell phone with Seek by iNaturalist. That's one of my favorite apps for students to use or for educators to use with students. It's very easy to just take a picture, or Seek actually lets you open your camera and scan a plant and it'll tell you its guess for what that is. So it's linked to iNaturalist, which is a citizen science app. I use them both, but Seek's honestly a little bit more fun because it's oriented to students, so it's easier to use. Outdoor activities, I like to point this out because these things aren't always grouped into environmental sciences or environmental education, but they very much relate to it. So sports are one of the most popular things BSB hears about from student brainstorming sheets. This is something that we can move forward with. It counts for outdoor education. It's important to get kids outside and active. Gardening, we've talked about. Camping. So one of our partners with BSB right now is working on like a outdoor education and just outdoor experience club. One of the favorite activities that students do in that club is set up tents. And sometimes they're inside, sometimes they're outside, but it's teaching them a little bit of skills on what is it like to survive outside, to go camping, to be in the wilderness. But sometimes if you can't get outside, students can use their imagination for some of those outdoor pieces and do some of that environmental education in the gym or inside. We also have had programs do outdoor classrooms based on music. So sometimes go outside, play some music outside, or listen to some of the music from nature. It's kind of a cheesy thing to say, but I honestly do like to just listen to birds, think through how does that relate to music, and then science, of course. Outdoor environmental education field trips are one of the most popular things I think that we see for summer programs. Those can be big trips to somewhere like a zoo or going to a state park, but they don't have to be. I've seen lots of programs go to a local pond or lake, and even if it's just a parent, sometimes there are programs through 4-H where they will provide fishing poles and training. So one of our team members, Elena Pearson's done some of this work. You can get certified through 4-H. They provide resources and you can go fishing with students. Sometimes that can also be through a parent who's an outdoors kind of a nature-like person. They like to fish a lot. Ask them if they want to take students fishing for an afternoon. So those field trips can be a big project to go plan to go to the zoo, or they can be just go fishing at a local stream or a local pond. Here's some of the partners. So I talked a lot through, I've mentioned a couple of these, all of these partners. I know I'm missing many. Nebraska has an incredible network, like I said, for environmental and outdoor education. I really want to point out, so NACE in that top corner, that's the Nebraska Association for Environmental and for conservation and environmental education, excuse me. They send out a newsletter that has resources from BSB as well as from all of these partners and others in the network. They're one of my favorite newsletters to pay attention to. I would recommend those of you interested to click that and follow them. There's just a lot here. Each of these, so we're going to share this presentation afterwards. Each of these is linked to the website of the organization listed, and they all have really great education resources. Some of them are broad, some of them are specific. National Geographic has, they call a slingshot project or a slingshot challenge for older youth to pursue solutions that they see to environmental challenges. That could be food systems, that could be energy, whatever they see is important to them. Farm to School, I think BSB is engaged in that network. I think that's really exciting, really cool things going on there. So there's a lot here. I'm not going to spend too much more time there, but we'll have some time for questions. And then I wanted to point this one out. So this is from an artist that was featured at the NACE conference this past winter. And she does cartoons that relate to nature and environmental education. So I'll just let you all look at and read the comic. I think it's very fun. So she includes a little bit of work on some of the names of the birds that are given or the species that she highlights. So the redpolls, thinking through their characteristic chattering. So she highlights some of the science behind the recreation of bird watching or of being in nature. And then also some comedy, kids always laugh at poop jokes. So here's a really good one. Has some learning goals associated with it. This is also linked to her website. So if you're interested, she has some really cool work. That's all that I've got. This is linked to the Beyond School Bells website. If you click this, it will automatically generate an email to me if you have any questions. And then there's my email as well. So thank you for your time. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer whatever I can.
Thank you, Dakota. Did anybody have any questions for him? Okay. In the chat, Sandra put a reminder for the Get Connected conference that will be happening in on September 27th in Kearney. I will add the link again, and then we would love to see you there. And then the next Stay Connected is Thursday, June 6th. So if you have any questions about the presentation, please feel free to email Dakota or anybody on the Beyond School Bells team. And if there are no other questions, thank you all for being here today. We appreciate you coming.
Thanks, everyone.